Hey Sydney, it's Dr. Scott. I have some feedback for you on your essay 2, your visual analysis draft. Quick reminder of what I'm looking for in this assignment. A thesis statement that's focused, that has supporting reasons that back up that thesis statement, and in a paper of this size, I'm thinking about those reasons being your paragraphs. So each paragraph is one reason why you think the two murals that you've chosen show pride or community. I'm also looking for supporting details. And that means that within the body paragraphs you have details that back up your argument, and then you explain how those details back up your argument, and how they kind of help you make that point that you're making in that paragraph. I'm also looking at organization and transitions. Do you have paragraphs located or placed in the paper for a good reason, or are they just kind of like you have the first paragraph and then the second paragraph? Also looking at integrating a couple paraphrases, and then MLA format, integrating a visual, and cutting V verbs out of your writing. I'm going to talk, I think, about 2 or 3 items. One is the thesis statement, 2 is the supporting details, and I think I might say a little something about organization, not much, but it's the argument right now and your use of details that really, I think, needs the most work. So in the thesis statement, and I think the thesis statement is here. I think it's this right here, these 2 sentences. It might be these 3. The issue that I'm having is that there's not much focus here. So the 2 murals I think that shows the sense of community strength and coming together is the For Freedom mural and the 1937 mural. So I'm seeing 3 different arguments there. I'm seeing 3 different kind of claims. And then how are they doing it? Body language, setting, and the feelings that the mural shows. I'm fine with this. These are your reasons. These are what your paragraphs are going to be. But as far as like what those paragraphs are helping to support, I think you need to choose one of these. What community, strength are coming together, because it feels like you have 2 different papers. You have the first couple body paragraphs that are about community, and you stay focused on that. Then there's a paragraph about strength, and then another one about coming together. And it never feels like all of the ideas kind of come together into one unified paper. So I think you need to have one, and I think for my money, this one's it. I could also see strength, and I could also see that togetherness. I could see how these 2 are related. And so maybe coming togetherness, you make the case for how coming togetherness is related to community. But for me, this is the one that kind of stands out as like not fitting with the others. So focusing that argument to address one of these issues, I think that's a key first step that you need to take. If you choose community or if you choose strength, I think you need to really kind of think through what that means. So what does it mean? What does community kind of mean in the context of the murals? I think showing that people are together, that they're near each other, that they help each other out, I think that's part of it. I think there are other things that you might kind of consider that will help you read into the murals in a way that gives you plenty to write about and like interesting things to say. So the argument is the big issue. Within the paper, there's the use of details and how you're explaining those details to support your overall point. So in this paragraph, you're writing about body language and how it brings together a sense of community, which is great. Like I love that focus to the paragraph, and I like that for the most part your writing kind of stays on that. There are places where the writing kind of doesn't seem all that connected to community. So you provide detail like the top left and right corners of the mural, let me highlight it. There are multiple people lined up on each side of the town and road in the middle. I feel to show how many people there are actually in the town. The paragraphs is trying to argue something much more interesting, which is the sense of community. And community does not mean that there are just a bunch of people in the town. Community means that people work together, that they feel like they're part of the community, part of the town, that they're in something together. So for me, I didn't understand this didn't really help the argument all that much. It it really didn't seem to say much. And I was also not too sure. Later on, you write about the sense of worry that the folks feel. And for me, I didn't understand how that was connected to community either. And it might be. You might have a good reason for doing that, but it's not explained in that way. And when you don't do that, when you don't make that explanation, it feels like it's a paragraph that's trying to write about community, but then you're throwing in these other things that don't really seem to fit. So later on, we have, so the first half of the paragraph is about community, and we also have this worry thing, and then later on in the For Freedom mural, we have community, and then we also have strength. And for me, that's, again, those two things are, like, I had a hard time understanding how the two are connected to each other. So I'm not saying that you can't write about these two murals. I think you definitely can. It's just like if you're writing about community, like that, I think you need to think through what that means and then think about how that applies to the For Freedom mural. Later on in the paper, it got pretty tough for me to understand how, this is where I really felt like we have two different papers here, the body language. I didn't understand how that's related to, actually this is the paragraph. Yeah, this confused me here because we got body language and then we've got colors. The rest of the paragraph is about colors, and then the next paragraph is about body language, I believe. So for me, it was really tough to see how these paragraphs were related to the previous body paragraph about community. Like it felt like kind of two different papers. So that's a lot of feedback. There's a lot to address. The one thing that I'm really proud of you for here is like that issue in the film review where, you know, hey, you need to include more detail. Like, you've got good detail here. Like, you've got a good eye for detail in these murals, and I think that's a really good development. That's good progress. So between now and when the revision's due next Friday, which is November the 1st, you need to kind of think through what am I actually arguing here, and breaking that down into individual paragraphs. So whether it's community or whether it's strength or what have you, breaking down what that means, and getting those body paragraphs to all support that one argument. Let me know if you need help. This is a tough assignment, so be patient with yourself. We'll have opportunities in class next week to kind of just work on this essay and ask me questions, but feel free to reach out before then. All right. Talk to you soon.